born on the same hour, of the same day, of the same year. But they are not twins. How could this be? Some of you might say, it might be in vitro fertilization, maybe they were adopted, or maybe there were surrogate mothers involved. But actually the answer is, there were two of a set of triplets. So why did this happen? Why does the brain look for complex solutions to simple problems? And when we're faced with something so simple and so trivial, we start thinking in convoluted ways and start trying to find something more complex. Well, the answer to this is lateral thinking. This is how we solve this problem. It was Mark Twain who said, "It's not what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you think you know for sure."
In other words, check your assumptions. So, as we get older, our assumptions start to increase due to our life experiences and all the things we learn. Our assumptions start to increase. Do you think this is a positive thing or a negative thing? Well, you may think it's positive, but actually it can have a negative effect on it. So here's a question for you. What can you cut your grass with, dry your hair with, and study the sky with? So again, what can you cut your grass with, dry your hair with, and see the sky with? So the answer is a lawnmower, a hairdryer, and a telescope. So why did this happen? What just happened here? First of all, you saw this type of problem before. You assumed that we were talking about one subject only. And accordingly, you base your answers on these assumptions. So this is what a vertical thinker does. He sees a problem, he starts to analyze it, and he tries to find a solution, a logical solution to it. But this is not what lateral thinking is about. Lateral thinking is finding an indirect, more creative approach to exactly the same problem from a completely different perspective. So again, it's not what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you think you know for sure.
Another example of this is Henry Ford. He started the automobile company you know as Ford. And when he started off at first, he wanted to hire people. And when he hired them, he used to take them out for lunch first. And during lunch, he'd order them soup. When these people would put salt and pepper into their soup without tasting it, he wouldn't hire them. Simply because they would assume that the soup needs salt and pepper, and they would put it on there. So they would think without actually critically thinking about them. They would just do their assumptions. The second thing to learn is question the question.
In other words, you have to ask the right question. The Parker Pens company, when they first started, had a major problem of selling very few number of pens. So they hired a specialist and asked him, "Why are we selling fewer number of pens?" The specialist told them that they are asking the wrong question. The question is, what business are we in? So obviously all of them said, "We're in the pen business." So she conducted a survey and asked people, why do you buy Parker pen? Most of them said, "We buy a Parker pen as a gift for someone who's graduating, someone who's getting a promotion, something like this." So the answer was, "We're in the gift business." So this company started changing their marketing strategy and started making their pens more fancier, more luxurious. This is what lateral thinking is all about, asking the right question to get an efficient answer. Another example is incubators in Africa. There was a problem in Africa where babies were born prematurely and no one could care for them. So companies would send incubators to Africa. The incubators would break down within a few weeks and then they would repeat that process. And this was a problem, so people started asking the question, how do we make incubators that are sustainable in Africa? How do we do that? And no one had the answer to that. It was something complex to them. But a company called Design That Matters flipped that question around. They asked, what equipment works in Africa? What actually works that we can make incubators out of? And they just discovered that Toyota cars and vans are the most reliable things in Africa. And by discovering that, and by asking that question, they came to the conclusion that they had to build incubators out of Toyota cars. So that the maintenance, the spare parts, and everything else is taken care of by the locals, and it's something that's self-sufficient. And this is how they did it. It's something that you flip a question, that when someone asks you a question, you don't necessarily look for the answer, no, you look for the question itself. Is the question sufficient, or does it need to be changed?
And this is what we mean with lateral thinking. Lateral thinking is something to think out of the box. It's about changing our concepts, our perceptions, our reasoning about problems. We should be creative in our thinking. We should think more and more creative out of the logical way, a way of the vertical thinking. At the most question that we should put to ourselves is what can be, not what is.
Third point we have in lateral thinking is you have to always and deliberately take a different point of view. Dick Fosbury, an American athlete, in the 1968 Olympics, made and astonished the whole world by doing a very strange thing in the high jump event. He was the first one to make a back first jump. Till that point, everyone in that event used to jump head first. But after Dick Fosbury, everyone till this day did this back first technique. Dick Fosbury said, I adopted an antiquated style and modernized it to something that was efficient. I didn't know anyone else in the world would be able to use it, and I never imagined it would revolutionize the event. Dick Fosbury thought out of the box. He imagined something new, something different. And that's an example you can take in thinking, taking a path different from all people, thus making a unique and a different approach, taking a different approach to make something better out of the ordinary.
The fourth thing, and the most important thing, is execute your ideas. The last 3 points are really important, but if you don't execute this point, none of the past things we said are important. How is that? For example, Penn State University has a course that's called Failure 101. When someone wants to be an engineer, they have to take this course, and what they have to do is they have to build a bridge, and then that bridge has to collapse. And by collapsing that bridge, by deliberately making that bridge fail and causing them to fail, not only do they pass the class, they also succeed. They succeed by learning from failure, and that's something that no one can learn just by succeeding. You have to actually fail to know what that feels like, because life isn't just success. It's people failing and succeeding. So just to summarize, check your assumptions, ask the right questions, try a different perspective, and execute your ideas. If you implement all of these points into your life, I know it can be difficult just hearing it from a presentation, but these points can be very critical when you solve a problem, not just in medicine, but in life in general. So you'll flip your thinking from vertical thinking into lateral thinking. Thank you.